morning.
So I'm back with Levi for another chat, and this time we're going to be talking about ayahuasca. I'm always paranoid that I say that wrong because it's spelled completely different to how you say it.
Yeah, it's ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
So I was really interested in having this chat with you because last year sometime my friend told me about a guy called James English on YouTube. And he'd done some videos about the camps that do ayahuasca and how it can solve, anxiety, PTSD, and that kind of thing. And then I went on to watch another video where there was an ex-policeman that had severe PTSD. And he went to a camp that his friend ran, and he had LSD for a few days. And it was the first thing that had really helped him and solved his severe PTSD. He tried medication from the doctors and nothing had worked. So it got me really interested in this. And I've never took hallucinogenics myself, but I'm really interested in that it might help other people, especially PTSD from being in the Jehovah's Witness organization.
Right.
So I wanted to get you back on to, talk about this and how it can benefit people.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't start out with ayahuasca. I mean, I smoked weed and stuff when I was a teenager, and this sounds crazy, but one of my ex-wives was a writer for a cannabis magazine, and so she was heavily into weed, and so I smoked a lot of weed. And when I actually moved to Costa Rica is when I started hearing more about hallucinogens and ayahuasca and plant medicines, they call them down here. There's a lot of hippies down here, so it's all plant medicine down here.
Cool.
But I mean, I just started. One of my friends had some mushrooms, and you'd take it with your friends and that kind of thing. I never really had any guilt, because of being a witness, smoking weed, because I've done it since I was a teenager or whatever. But it's funny how hallucinogens work. It's like an extreme mirror held up to yourself. And so any feelings that you have, those are brought up and kind of heightened. So there was guilt, I guess, a little bit down there. And the first time I took mushrooms, it was a great experience. I was, enjoying myself, but there was that guilt, like I'm doing something wrong. I wasn't thinking like, oh, God is, is mad at me or whatever, but I just had this strong feeling of guilt. And because I was doing it for recreational purposes, I didn't understand what was happening. And I'd find out later that there was reasons those things were coming up, those feelings. So it's really interesting how they work. And once you know, and I just want to start off by saying I'm not an expert at this. So whatever I say today, I'm just sharing my experiences, because there's people that are starting to find the science behind these plant medicines, and I only know what I've been told and what the providers or shamans that I've worked with have told me. And so if I get anything wrong, I apologize.
Yeah, I've had cannabis in the past, like in the probably about late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of my friends I hung out with did a lot of drugs. So I tried cannabis, but I'm more of, if I'm going to take drugs, I want drugs that are going to give me energy. Like I've had speed, and I only had like half an ecstasy tablet a few times because I didn't want to be out of control. Even though I'll get drunk till I fall over, there's something in my brain with drugs that I feel like I'll be more out of control. So I prefer drugs that give me energy and give me oomph and want to make me dance all night. But when I tried weed, to me, it kind of, I think the first one I had it was either a coffee or a yogurt with, do you remember like the solid that used to burn and like crumble?
Oh, yeah.
Like it was that. And I just felt like I was stuck in my chair. And And then I kept saying to my friend, am I nudging you? Because I thought my arm was doing this. And she was like, no, you're sitting still. And then I was like, am I rocking? Because I thought I was rocking forward and backwards. And she was like, no, sit back. And then I thought I was going side to side. And then I was like, I need to go to the bathroom, but I feel like my knees don't work. And I was just like, I don't like this. It's like, it's freaking me out. So I kind of stayed away from weed. And then my friends were doing acid and mushrooms and, watching them on it and their experiences. And then I read that book, Go Ask Alice, when I was a teenager. I was still a Jehovah's Witness, and it's about acid trips, and some of them are not great. And I think that put in my mind then that if I do acid, I'm probably going to go to the dark side, which is one thing I'm always worried about. So I just let them do acid and mushrooms, and I was just like, no, I'm fine, I'll just stick to the alcohol.
Yeah, I don't even smoke weed anymore. I same thing. I don't like it just makes me tired, and it actually kind of makes me like nervous and shaky. And I smoked a lot of weed, and after my divorce with my wife there, she smoked so much of it that it just turned me off, and I was like, nope. And the only experience that I've had with mushrooms before that was I was at a concert, and a girl came up to me, and she was like, her eyes were like this big, and she's like, there's a frog on your shoulder, and it freaked me out. I was like, man, this is like, I don't know if I want to get into it. But so how I got involved in taking it correctly or using it for benefits rather than just getting off my head was I had met my partner now through my tattoo shop here in Costa Rica. First of all, there was a lot of it's a very hippie community, and a lot of like yogis, plant medicine people, like just really, really super hippie community. And there was people coming in to the tattoo shop to get tattooed after their ayahuasca ceremonies. They were doing ayahuasca at this place called Rhythmia. And that's actually the place where James English went and filmed his experiences with ayahuasca. And the stories they were telling me were just like, oh yeah, it helped me so much. I'm, like same like you were talking about, like PTSD and anxiety and sexual abuse and that kind of thing. And so I was like, what is this? And then they were talking about the process, about like people like puking and shitting. And I was just like, just sounds like a bunch of hippies getting high in the jungle and puking all over themselves. And like, doesn't sound fun to me. And then a few months into the future, I had met Meg, my partner now, and we had gotten together, and she actually works at this licensed ayahuasca center. And we got to dating or whatever, and eventually we got pregnant. And it was pretty early on our dating that she got pregnant. So there was a lot of decisions to be made. And she said that if we're going to do this together, if we're going to stay together, raise this baby, and actually do this, she said, I want you to experience kind of my life, my background, and my life in this whole ayahuasca world. And so I was like, hell, I'll try anything once. And so I went for the week. If you go to this place, you go for a week, and then you have 4 ceremonies, one right after the other, 4 days in a row. And it just, my mind just fucking exploded. It was intense, but it was amazing.
I can imagine. Was there any benefits that you felt kind of in straight away, or does it kind of take a while to?
It was really confusing. There's a lot that goes on, like in your head, the visions. A lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of it is just like, why did that come up? Why did I see this? And so there's a lot of confusion, but it's the days after that you start like realizing things. And I mean, sometimes in ceremony you can get like epiphanies, I guess you could call it. And like, oh, that's why that person acted this way, or that's why this happened, and stuff. But a lot of it is the days after the ceremonies that you start realizing, oh, okay, this connects with that, and maybe I should make these changes. And morning. So yeah.
We have a question for you. Do you really believe it though? I'm not sure exactly.
I really believe it.
Believe the benefits, or
I do.
what to say? Yeah.
100%. There's a lot of I mean, this is ayahuasca is nothing new. It's been the indigenous people in the Amazon have been doing it for like over 5,000 years. They discovered this, and so there is like a spiritual side to it and everything. And that's where I struggled a lot, because of when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I was basically fuck God, fuck spirituality, you know, like everything is just bullshit, and I don't even want anything to do with any spiritual. You know. So I still have a little bit of a hard time struggling with the spirituality and what goes on in ceremony and stuff. But
yeah,
so
I think it does that to a lot of us, because we come out of the religion with a set mind of what spirituality is, and to us it was like having the Bible rammed down our throats at meetings and stuff 3 times a week, being controlled in what we wear, what we do, who we talk to. Yeah. So to me, that was what spirituality was. And I've read a lot of other people's experiences, like in the ex-Jehovah's Witness group, but I've never really delved into spirituality myself, but some aspects of it does interest me. But it's took me probably 20 years to come around to even wanting to know anything about that.
Right. Yeah. Like it's like when you leave the religion, it's like, don't know, don't care. So like, to answer her this question here, do you really believe? I don't know I still don't know what I believe in.
Same. To
this day, but these ayahuasca journeys have just helped me be okay with that. You know, it's given me like before I was like, well, what if the Jehovah's Witnesses are right? What if I am doing this wrong? What if this religion is right? And, you know, do I have to do something to make it to heaven, or so I don't burn in hell, or to live forever on earth? And that was just constantly going through my mind, and it's really helped to just calm that down. And I had a huge fear of death. And in one ceremony in particular, that fear of death didn't completely go away, but I was like, okay, I was okay with it. Like,
cool. So that's a good benefit then. So someone's asking about the benefits. Do they wear off over time, or are they permanent?
That's mostly up to you, because a lot of the people say that 50% of the work is in ceremony with your realizations and your visions and stuff like that, and the other 50% is after ceremony. So you might struggle with like drug addiction or alcoholism or something like this, and in your vision you can see what that stems from, what you're supposed to do about it, and it's up to you to make that choice because of what you've seen, to stop doing what you're doing in your life. And it just gives you a clearer picture of why you should be doing something or not be doing something. So yeah, it's up to the person. I mean, but it just makes little things a little easier.
So here's another question and a comment for you. It sounds very interesting, and I'd like to try myself. You said you're in Costa Rica and spent time with indigenous people. Have you felt like you're more cultured, and have you found new roots?
I don't feel like I'm cultured at all. But it's hard to say. I grew up in Alberta, Canada, in a really small Native American community, and like we'd have like powwows and stuff at assemblies during our school years. And so there was a lot of Native people around, and I don't know if it was just me being a little white kid or being in the religion, but we weren't allowed to kind of explore that culture that was right there with us and stuff. And so by doing this, I feel a little bit more connected to the people that I grew up around, but I didn't really take time to, or, you know, you kind of start but understanding some of the struggles that they've gone through. And it's almost like they had it right. Then the white man came in and shoved religion down their throat. And because their spirituality was nature, right? It was like them having a connection with nature, and then good old religion came in and fucked that all up.
And you make a good point there as well, because being a Jehovah's Witness, you're not really allowed to talk to other people about their religion. And I guess it's in case you think, oh, well, that sounds more right than what I believe right now. So you're discouraged in looking into other people's religions. So when you leave, you don't know a lot about stuff like that, do you? Because you're very kind of alienated from a lot of people's beliefs. And
when you're in ceremony, in these ayahuasca ceremonies, they play a lot of like traditional, they call them icaros. And so it's a lot of traditional songs and prayers and music and stuff like that. And the visions you get while they're singing these songs and while you're on the medicine is just unreal. It's like, it's just like you can see the DNA of plants and all these geometric shapes, and it doesn't make any sense, but it actually does. Like it's really hard to explain. Your subconscious is like, this is us, this is nature, this is natural. Like our bodies actually produce DMT. There's DMT in everybody's brain, and even in plants and everything. Like, and these people from the Amazon found this in nature. It's not some chemically produced drug that gets people high and stuff like this. Like it's just all in nature, and it's really incredible to get that connection.
I can imagine. So you started going to the camps with your girlfriend, and you was there for a week. So how did you feel after that? Did that make you into it and want to go back and do more?
Yeah, like I wanted to explore more because some of the visions I had didn't make any sense. And I kind of went in there, and you're not supposed to go in with expectations, but I went in with expectations. I was like, I want to know what, if there is a God, I want to know what happened to my stepbrother after he died. I wanted to know, you know, like, is my family ever gonna wake up and get out of the religion and stuff like that? And I didn't get the exact answers that I wanted. And so I was like, I mean, I feel great and it really helped me out, but I still want the answers to these questions. And so I was really interested in seeing more and doing more. And I actually ended up volunteering about a year later. And so like I've done about 80 ceremonies now, and I still want to do more.
Oh, wow. So have you seen it, like, have you seen it change a lot of people while they're there? Because if you're there a lot, then you get to see a lot of people's experiences. Hi. She's
going to work with me this morning to teach yoga.
Oh, okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you later. I'm sorry, what was the question?
So you've obviously been there a lot. So have you seen a lot of people, like it's changed, like who they are, you know, their lives? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that was the question.
Yeah. For example, my partner, it was 3.5 years ago. She made some big changes in her life. She used to drink a lot. She would come home from work and drink a bottle or two of wine. Sometimes 3, she says. But yeah, she tried. It was actually this plant called Iboga that she had a ceremony with. It's a root from Africa that she took, and for 20 years she was an alcoholic. And in one ceremony, after this Iboga ceremony, she quit drinking, and she's been 3 years sober now. She hasn't had a drink in 3 years, and I've seen a lot of people it help, like you said, their anxiety and their PTSD, and it's crazy because during ceremony all these things come up, and that's the whole point of these plants like ayahuasca and iboga and mushrooms. Those things that were coming up that I was feeling like guilt, and I'm like, why am I feeling guilty? I'm sitting here, my buddies, it's like they come up so that you deal with them, and then you can just let them go. So like a lot of people who have been sexually abused or whatever, during their ceremonies or their journeys, they'll be laying there, and some can be screaming, some can be crying, because they're reliving those experiences that they've been pushing back their whole lives. They relive those experiences, and then something just clicks, and they've accepted it, and they can push it away. Like it can, instead of pushing it down and holding on to it, they can be like, okay, this happened, it was shit, but I can move past it and move on with my life and not have to dwell on that anymore.
I find it fascinating, like how it does that, because the videos I've watched with James English, some of them said that they were kept awake by other people, like screaming through the night, and it sounds horrific, but then when they come out of it the other end and they're just like, yeah, that was great, it was rough, but now I feel great, it's just like, wow. It
can be the most beautiful experience ever. I'll tell you about one of my visions, and it was I was laying on my mattress, and the whole time I felt this presence of my father sitting there like this with his arms crossed, and he was looking down at me, and he was just shaking my head, and he's like, what are you doing? You're out here in the middle of the jungle taking drugs with all these crazy people. And just look at yourself, look at what you're doing. And for like 2 hours, he was just sitting there judging me. And I was just like, this is like the most horrible thing ever. And I was like, instantly, I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm high as shit. This is the time I'm going to put it to the test. Because as a Jehovah's Witness, we're told that when you take drugs, you open your mind to the devil. Satan's going to get in, and that's when he gets you. And so I'm laying there, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm this far. I'm gonna put this to the test. And so I said, I want to talk to God. And all of a sudden, I had this vision of me in heaven, at the gates of heaven, and there was a gatekeeper there, and he looked at me, and this is all like play, like it's so vivid. It's like a movie playing, but you're laying there with your blindfold on or your eyes closed, and the gatekeeper of heaven, he says, why are you here? And I said, I need to talk to Jehovah right now. And he says, you're not ready. And I said, no, I need to talk to him right now. And he said to me, he says, you're not ready at this moment. I said, well, what do I have to do to be ready? And he says, well, first of all, you have to go and you have to take a shit. And then second of all, you have to go back up and take another drink of ayahuasca. And so I was like, okay. So I crawled. I couldn't walk at this point. I crawled to the bathroom, shit my brains out, crawled up to the shaman, and he says, how can I help you? I said, the gatekeeper of heaven, he says I have to take another drink before I can talk to God. And he's like, okay, hold on. And he went and got me another drink. They took me back to my mat, and I closed my eyes, and I was instantly there. And I said, I need to talk to Jehovah right now. We got to clear some shit out. He's like, okay. And the gates of heaven opened, and all these devil faces came out at me. And I was like, no, this isn't right. This isn't what's happening right now. I need to talk to God. And as soon as I said that, all the devil faces like disappeared. And there's this painting in the Revelation book of like all the angels standing on the clouds looking down at the globe. And I was right there on one of the clouds. We were all standing looking down at the globe, and I looked at all the people standing on the clouds, and there was Jesus, there was Jehovah, there was Buddha, there was Ganesh, there was all these gods from all these different religions and beliefs and backgrounds. And I was like, all right, who am I going to talk to? Who am I supposed to talk to? Which one of you is God? And they all turned and looked at me, and they said, Levi, there is no God. Everything is just energy. When you die, you're still going to be energy. You're not going to heaven. You're not going to live forever on earth. You're not going to burn in hell. So you don't have to worry. You're just going to be energy. And from as soon as they said that, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders that you don't have to be scared of death. You know, everyone's going to die, but your energy is going to live on, and nobody knows what's going to happen after that. But, you know, you don't have to be scared. There's nothing to fear, you know? So that was a huge weight off my shoulders.
So yeah, I put the question up about your experiences, and then it just happened as you started telling your experience. So somebody says, have you seen anyone come from the experience worse than when they started?
Not that I can think of. I mean, there's been people there that I've talked to that that said that they wouldn't do again. Like, it's not for everybody, right? It's not a magic drink that's going to cure everybody. It's some people really get it, and other people do get scared, you know, like a lot of the things that you can see are scary, don't make sense. And they're like, nope, that's not for me. You know, like there's one experience I had that it could have really freaked me out. And I was thinking, maybe this isn't helping. Maybe it's just me getting high or whatever. But it was the alien surgery. There was like these praying mantis creatures that came over me, and a lot of what they teach, like the Colombian tradition, or there's a Peruvian and a Brazilian tradition. All these shamans have like different teachings of what certain things mean during the visions, and a lot of these alien surgeries are to give you a new heart, they say, so that you can, you know, like if somebody's wronged you, like abused you or something like that, these aliens come in and give you a new heart, and you can start fresh. And this happened to me, and they cut me open and pulled all this black sludge out of my chest. And it was just like horrific. I couldn't feel it, but it was just all this blackness. And I'm like, what are you doing? And it was these praying mantis aliens saying, we're giving you a new heart. And I was like, how do I know this is, you know, this is for me or whatever? And it was this solid gold heart with a little skull engraved in it. And I was like, okay, that's mine. And they put it back in my chest, closed me up, and they said, this heart is for you to love your new family. This is your family now, your daughter, your partner. All that sludge was from your old family, your old life, all the bullshit that your family taught you and everything. And so this is your new heart. You don't have to focus on the past anymore.
Wow.
It was pretty incredible. It sounds fucking crazy. It is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Neil said he's hoping to do a trip later this summer, and he's asking, do you fast before?
Well, there's a certain dieta. So it's like really, what's the word? Like no salt, no sugar, no caffeine for like a week. And then the day of the, like it's not required, but it's suggested just so that you get the full experience. And then you usually start a ceremony at about 6 or 7 at night. And from 2 o'clock that afternoon, you don't eat, so that you know, your stomach can be empty, because there is purging, there is vomiting and shitting. So it's always best to have an empty stomach.
I'd struggle with the no coffee. I can't go a day without coffee and no eating because, you know, my metabolism is quite fast and I have to eat every 4 hours. Otherwise, I get like really shaky and hypoglycemic. So
Yeah, me too. But I mean, like it's a suggestion just to get the full experience. Like I drink coffee every day. I only have like 1 or 2 cups, but I'll drink the morning of ceremony but I just don't eat. I start at 2 o'clock. I don't eat because I don't want anything coming up.
Yeah, I hate being sick. Like I will put it off and put it off and put it off as long as possible.
Yeah.
So this is why that side of it didn't really appeal to me, because I just thought, I don't want to be throwing up. I don't want to be like shitting myself, and I just like,
well, it doesn't happen every time. Like I'll probably vomit maybe once every 3 or 4 ceremonies. It's not a given. Like you don't have to. A lot of times purging, they call it, will be sweating a lot or yawning or crying or laughing. Like it doesn't always have to be shitting or but
so from what you're saying, then you can't really, because you said you went in there wanting answers, so you can't really control what comes to you. You've just got to take what you're given, basically. You can't manipulate it into getting answers to stuff that you want, really.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you can ask questions and you'll have like a knowing, or you'll hear a voice that will answer that question, but you can't force it. Like you can't be like, I want to know this, and it automatically comes and stuff like that. Like a lot of it is just random. Like the very first journey I did, there was just random memories of like when I was a kid and stuff, and with my uncle in his house and in his barn and stuff. And I hadn't thought about this person in my family for like 15 years, and it made no sense. I was like waiting for like a vision of me being abused by this person or something, and to this day I don't know why I saw that, but it's like they say that once you start your journey and all the confusion and stuff you see is like the ayahuasca going into your brain files and just like flipping out memories and stuff like that. So it can be really confusing at some times, but a lot of times it does show you directly things that you've been wondering about. Or go ahead.
You said you had visions of your daughter's conception.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. And another thing too that happens is you see things starting to what's the word, like intersect in your life, like you know, like coincidences happen, things like that you start noticing more. So if anybody saw our last discussion, my partner was told that she would never have kids. She had health problems. I was told I couldn't have kids because I was in a motorcycle accident, and all of a sudden we have this beautiful baby girl. And so one night in one of my journeys, things are going on. It's all confusion and everything. And I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I see 3 different alien entities, and they're taking turns having sex with me. And I was just like, what's going on here? Like, it was just a vision. I wasn't like laying there, you know, imagining I was having sex with aliens kind of thing. But it was very distinct because they had purple legs with pink bands around their legs, and they were each taking turns or whatever. And when it was done, we all went up into space, and 2 of them stayed with me, and the one went down, and I saw the one starting to have sex with Meg, my partner. And I was like, what's going on here? What's going on, you know? And they're like, this is how your daughter was conceived. You guys have been through so much bullshit with her sexual abuse and your Jehovah's Witness background. You guys have been through so much. And deep down, we know that you both wanted kids eventually with the right person. And this is the universe's gift to you, is this baby. And they were impregnating my partner. And it was just like, I woke up and it was just like crazy. And so I told her the next day, and in her vision, not the same night, but she had a vision where an alien came down and had an encounter with her. And it was just like
wow.
and I follow a lot of artists on Instagram that take ayahuasca and plant medicines, and they paint their visions.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 months later, I was flipping through these paintings, and I flipped through, and all of a sudden I had to go back, and there was a painting of this purple alien with pink bands around her leg, and she was giving birth. And it was just like, holy shit, that was the alien that I had sex with. It was so crazy.
That is crazy.
Like the connections and
yeah.
So
I would like to know what secrets the governing body are keeping.
Oh, there was one night that it was all about the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was all about my family and how they were just blinded. And that was a process of me forgiving my family for how they treat me at the moment, is that they're so blinded by these 8 guys in New York that I felt empathy for my family, and I felt sorry for them because they're so brainwashed. They're so, they have such a veil over them that these people are right and that they're speaking the truth, and that if you don't listen to them, we're all going to die at Armageddon. So I felt bad for them. And I started having visions of these guys meeting in New York around the table, and flashbacks of like Charles Taze Russell with the pyramids, and he was obsessed with pyramids. And I started earlier before that particular ceremony, I started reading some stuff online about how he predicted 1914 with the measurements of the pyramids and all this. And it just, and then I remembered how like, this might not make any sense, but I remembered how like the Nazis were so into like the occult, and they wanted to, they wanted all these religious relics. I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they had such an obsession with religion and the occult, and how they were kind of muddled together. And it just made me think about like the governing body, with how the Witnesses started with like pyramidology, and how that I believe that secretly they are more into the occult than anybody else, any other religion in the world. They have like a real darkness about them, and they come off as, such beings of light and things like this. But I don't know, it's really confusing, but I got visions of them being a really dark entity and like controlling people and really into the occult. Yeah, like the Illuminati, exactly. Like I just saw visions of pyramids and eyeballs and the Freemason compass logo, and like just all these flashes, and it was like, yeah, they're into some dark shit.
Well, I was telling someone the other day about that, and that there is like a lot in the XJW community always talk about the fact that they've got Illuminati background, and they even wear like the pinky rings with the symbol on.
Yeah.
And it's strange, like how have the Witnesses that watch them on these broadcasts frequently, how have they not picked up on this?
Yeah, it's, well, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, you can edit things, you can, Photoshop things, and like, it's just so ridiculous. They're so blind that even if you show them proof, it's like, no, that's not right. It can't be right. Or if they like have been given undeniable proof, well, they're just human, you know, they're just doing their best. They're just humans. It's.
So Amy's asking, how do you feel your experiences are received when you talk about this in the ex-dub community?
A lot of people think it's crazy. I mean, even if you're an ex-JW or not, it's a lot of it doesn't make sense. And, you know, it's, I mean, having sex with aliens and talking to God and stuff like that, it just sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And but it actually does help put to bed some of the things that I've been dealing with. And for other people, it helps them deal with PTSD, anxiety, sexual abuse, stuff like that. Like, it's not going to take it away, but it's going to help you deal with that better in your life. And I mean, I thought people were crazy when they were telling me their experiences. And as soon as you start doing it and feeling it for yourself, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah. I think, like we were saying earlier as well, like the religion puts a lot of stigma in your mind. Like in that video, I showed what the governing body put in the Watchtower about taking hallucinogenics, and basically they're saying that you won't get your everlasting life if you take these injurious drugs. So it's kind of like, you know, some people find it hard when they leave to get rid of that whole brainwashing one-step mind.
Well, and on one of my journeys, I was sitting there looking outside at the stars. I recommend anybody try it once. Go outside, take hallucinogens, and just fucking stare at the stars and the moon. It's the most beautiful experience you'll have of your life. And what was I kind of got lost there. But it's like your brain is built for these plants. Like there's receptors in your brain, serotonin receptors in your brain specifically designed for these certain chemicals that are found in plants. We have cannabinoid receptors. They're called cannabinoid receptors in our brains. We are built for these substances to be inside us and work with our bodies and our brains. I truly believe that.
Neil's saying that mushrooms helped him greatly last year, and my friend who introduced me to James English, he, from what I remember him saying, he did like an intense mushrooms trip, and he said it sorted out a lot of his anxiety. Like he said, it kind of helped him deal with it more. Like his depression isn't as bad anymore, and you know, he says he microdoses now, and he can still feel when he would be going through a bad patch, but he can deal with it a lot better now. So it's nothing like it was before.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that microdose mushrooms out here, and I haven't heard one person say they've had a bad experience with it.
So Amy's asking, she missed the beginning. Do you do this in a controlled environment at first? Like here we have spas you can go to, or did you do it on your own?
No. So she missed the first part where it's a ayahuasca retreat center. So it's a bigger one here in Costa Rica, and there's space for up to like 80 people. So the ceremonies can be anywhere from like 5 or 6 people and up to a multiple, you know, a lot of people. But there's 2 shamans that are providing that will help you, you know, they dose you. And then there's about 15 helpers all around the room. It's what it's called a maloca. And it's this outdoor building with no walls and glass windows and stuff. And you all lay around on your mattress. Everybody's got a bucket. Everybody's got a mattress with a pillow. And then, so you take the first shot. It's about like a 2-ounce glass. You take the first shot, which tastes like shit. It's horrible. It's absolutely awful. And then you lay down on your mattress, and you sit in silence for about a half an hour to 40 minutes. And then they start playing music. And when the music starts playing, that's when things really start. You start seeing visions and you start feeling things. And you do that for about an hour and a half. And then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, they'll serve another glass. And then you go back and lay down. And during this time, they're walking around throughout the mattresses and making sure everyone's okay. And the shamans, they'll like come up to you if you're having a bad trip or something is not going right, or if you're purging, if you're puking, they'll come over and they'll like chant over you. And they have this stuff called chandura, and it's like all these different herbs and plants in a bottle mixed with alcohol. And if you're like having an experience or you're puking or whatever, they'll come over, they'll chant over you, they'll take like a big swig, and then they'll like spit it all over your body, and it cools you down, and it's supposed to like bring your energy down. And I mean, that's when you get into the spiritual stuff. But man, I tell you, if you're up here and you're not in a good space, they come over and they chant over you and spit that stuff on you, and it just brings you right back. It just like grounds you, and you're like, okay, I'm good. I can do this. It's pretty incredible.
So the more you drink, does it intensify, or do you drink regular to keep it going, kind of thing?
No, it's not like alcohol where the more you drink, the more you need to get to that point. Every ceremony is different. For example, I've had ceremonies where I take one drink and it sends me to the astrals, and I'm not taking the second cup. There's other ceremonies where I've drank 4 cups and I'm just kind of just chill and sitting outside looking at the stars and thinking and, kind of processing stuff. So it's like every ceremony is different. Sometimes it'll go like that, and other times you can drink a lot and have a pretty chill experience.
So you said you've done, is it 80 sessions?
Yeah.
So has it become, do you still get the effects on the same level, or has it become more of like less intense as the more you've done it, if you know what I mean?
It doesn't get less intense. I mean, I haven't done 80 ceremonies where I'm on the mat drinking. I've been in 80 ceremonies total. So like I said, I started volunteering there, and I'd go once a week. I haven't done it for a while. It's just with work and everything. But so I've been one of the helpers that, if somebody can't get to the bathroom or whatever, I'll help them to the bathroom, or if they need one of the shaman to come and help them through a process, I'll, do that for them. But at the same time, all the helpers are drinking as well. So everybody, the shamans, the helpers, the people in ceremony, everybody's drinking. We're just drinking a little bit less, just so that we can actually help people if they need it. And so on those nights, you can go in and out of your process. Like I'll be sitting there waiting to see if anybody needs help, and all of a sudden I'll be starting to have visions and things happening. And then it's almost like, okay, so what's going on around me? And somebody needs help. And so it's almost like a switch. Okay, and now I have to go help. You're still pretty high, but I still, I have to go help. You help that person. So it hasn't been 80 times where I've been focused on myself.
Okay.
It's been like probably 20 or 30 times where I've done it for myself. And then the rest where I'm still drinking, but I'm helping others with their process.
So do most people stick it out to the end of the course, or do you get people like that it's just too much and they can't handle it and they can't do it?
There are people that want to leave, and about once a week, there's somebody that's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. But, they have people that are trained, to talk them down. And this is why you're here. This is, this is part of the experience. It's going to be hard, but, get through it and you'll be better on the other side.
Neil's asking, can you DIY it somewhere safe?
I wouldn't do it by myself. No, it's too, I mean, you can, but I'd rather have somebody there. Like all the shamans that work at the retreat center, trained in Colombia under a shaman. His name is Taita Juanita Chindoy, and his grandfather taught him the whole culture and tradition. And his grandfather was the oldest living shaman in Colombia. He was like 107, I think, when he died. And he'd been drinking since he was 10 years old.
Wow.
And so all the shamans here are trained under this tribe and this teacher. And they're taught like how to guide people through the experiences and stuff like that. So I wouldn't do it by myself, because there are times when, you know, I've seen people lose their shit and they needed the support. You need the support.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you think we need to know that we haven't discussed so far?
I don't think so, other than your brain was built for psychedelics, so go use them. But be responsible. Use them for, you know, trying to better yourself. You know, like I don't use mushrooms anymore when I'm like drinking or, you know, partying or anything like that. I use it more as like a reflection time. Like we're told not to meditate. I've tried meditation before and my brain is too, you know, what was that noise over there? What's this? What am I thinking? What am I doing to work? Meditation is really hard for me, but I find that when I'm taking hallucinogens, that meditation is just like, it stills your brain and you can focus on things and you can just let go of what's always buzzing in your ears and in your head.
So, Neil, nobody knows the answer to this question.
Is God real? You are God. God is you.
Well, I mean, come on, which God to start with? There's so many
Right.
of them, right? Yeah. So I've got another comment from Amy. I think it takes courage to share this, but thank you, because it's helpful to those who are at a point to be open to consider things outside the mainstream psychedelic meds, psychiatric meds.
I used to take antidepressants for 13 years, like heavy doses. And when I moved here, it wasn't like I was trying to wean myself off, but it wasn't until I started taking psychedelics for that purpose that it was, I haven't taken antidepressants in probably like 4 years now.
Have you or do many people kind of get relapses where you need to go through the same process for the same issue again?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it all depends on you after the ceremony. Like I can go in and, oh yeah, I need to stop doing drugs, or I need to stop doing this, and it gives you a purpose to stop doing that, but it's not going to be like there's a switch and I'm not going to do it anymore. Like Meg was lucky when she did one ceremony and never wanted to drink again, but she was shown why she drinks, why she does this, and the processes that led up to that. And she was like, I'm done with those processes. I'm done with that shit. So I don't need alcohol anymore. And she hadn't touched a drink since.
I don't think, how do you say your name? Uji Muskie? Or I don't want to say Orgy Muskie because like so yeah, I don't think doesn't sound appealing.
It actually is one of the most beautiful experiences. It sounds crazy and it sounds horrible, but when you do have a good journey, it's one of the most beautiful experiences you can ever have. It's hard to explain because there's no words that can explain it, because it's so incredible. The things that you see and the feelings and the love that you feel after is just incredible. The love for yourself, the love for, you know, other people around you is just unreal. It's unreal.
Have you observed physical ailments being remedied?
I personally haven't, but I've heard experiences where it has helped people with like certain types of cancer. I'm by no means saying it cures cancer. I'm not saying that at all. But I have heard of experiences where people who have had cancer and got into this, I don't want to say way of life, but like got into this medicine world, that that their cancer has gone into remission. But that's all hearsay, and I'm not going to say it cures anything.
So Amy says psych meds are a guessing game and overprescribed. They numb, not heal.
Exactly. They help push the shit you're supposed to deal with down, where this stuff brings it to light and helps you deal with it.
But sometimes psych meds are necessary and vital for some to maintain chemical imbalance. I don't want to discourage that.
Absolutely. If something the doctor prescribes to you helps your anxiety and helps you not sit there and say, I want to kill myself, obviously that's that's a good benefit. And I, like I said, I'm not saying that this is for everybody or anything like that. Like, it helps a lot of people. I'm no doctor, I'm no expert or whatever, but it's helped me, and I've seen it help a lot of people. And I think the natural way to go is probably a good, if not better, way to go. But if those meds are prescribed to you and you feel comfortable with those and they're not making you feel worse or numb or whatever, then all the power to you.
Yep. So before we shoot off, does anybody have any more questions for Levi? Fire them at him now. It's been like a really interesting chat to because like I said, I've watched videos about it, but it's different like talking to someone one-to-one that's been there, experienced it, and still fascinated and interested by it.
There's a really cool documentary if anybody out there wants to check it out. It's called The Medicine, and it's on it's not YouTube, it's Vimo or Vivo. It's like it's called
Venmo or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like YouTube, but I think you have to pay for it or whatever. But you can watch the documentary called The Medicine on there. I think it's like $8 to rent it or something, and it documents ayahuasca and the shaman from Colombia that they all train under, and it talks about kind of the benefits and the history and the culture and stuff, and it's really interesting if you guys want to check it out.
So as you said, my retreat is next week. Thanks for helping to lessen the anxiety. Thanks, Levi.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just remember that when you go in, don't have any expectations. Just relax. You're not going to die. Nobody's overdosed from it. You're not going to, no matter what you see or what you experience, you might have some scary times or you might have the most beautiful experience of your life. Just always keep in the back of your head that it's going to be over. It's going to come. You're going to have a come down in a few hours. So no matter what happens, you're going to be you're going to be safe. You're going to be fine. Because there are a lot of times where it's like, oh shit, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. But no, you'll be fine.
It's good that people have a bit of insight now, so they know what to expect and not get so freaked out if they see themselves having sex with aliens and whatever. It sounds like it's the normal.
Oh yeah, and the alien when the aliens come, that's my favorite part. It's so cool. It's like, wow.
Awesome show focusing on solutions. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of problems coming out of the cult that need help to solve, and it's good to have like different ways of doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of the main reasons I wanted you to come back and have this chat, because someone might watch this and think, oh wow, I need to go and try that, and it could really help that person. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, I talked to God and he said he doesn't exist. So don't be scared.
Told you himself.
Yeah, I don't exist. I'm just an imaginary figure. So just.
Well, that's just confirmed what I always thought anyway. So
Yeah.
So thank you for joining me again, Levi. It's been, great. And thank you everybody for watching. And I will play us out with my outro video.
All right. See you later.
See you all soon.